Good morning, Mr. Mukherjee. Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to interview you. So, just to start with, as you know, globally in transit infrastructure sector, there's a renewed thrust on enhancing the commercial revenue or the non-fare revenues, as we discussed. Factors will be more private participation, and with that, greater non-fare revenues inflows in Mumbai Metro.
So there are two questions actually in that question. First one is to Mumbai Metro. I'd like to proudly tell you that we are one of the metros which has a largest percentage of non-fare in our entire revenue model. That is about 16% of the entire revenue model, which is quite large for a metro system, which is a single line system. As you know, in Mumbai, we were the only line running between east and west till about a month back. Having said that, the non-fare box for us is the creativity, for innovation, for thinking differently, using our overall revenue pie. On the other hand, we feel that the commuter moves through a area of experience which the non-fare box provides in the most suitable way, whether it is retail, they can do their shopping while on the go, or interacting with very interesting brands through our advertising medium. So yes, it occupies a very important space, both from a commuter perspective as well as from a revenue perspective. So the possibilities in transit, and particularly in the metro, which are the new lifelines of the growing metropolis of India, the possibilities and the opportunities are endless. For instance, we still haven't got to the idea of making the metro station a destination. When I say destination, people go to Times Square to see the bright sort of ideas that ooze out from the buildings there. A similar experience can be created in all the transit stations. There is so much of possibilities in utilizing DOOH in the transit space, where the duration of eyeball for any product or any brand is very high, as well as the space is premium. So if you have to sort of launch your product, I think it's one of the best spaces. So these are some of the areas that we are trying to sort of create a larger space for us. One of the factors that always come in between is occupancy versus the yield, or so to say the non-cluttering. So while we work on the occupancy, but we always ensure that the brands get noticed, that there are spaces where premium sort of a viewership or premium eyeballs do come up. So those are real areas where we need to work with advertisers, with out-of-home media, agencies.
My next question is, when we talk about more specific to OH advertising, how would you assess your organization with OH firms? See, currently, of course, you have when it comes to outdoor advertising, but precisely how is your engagement and association with your partners?
Oh, it's been excellent. Though we have a single partner right from the beginning, but we are open to various ideas which we see in other metros, in other transit areas like airports, bus stations, even abroad. The point about our whole concept of the outdoor is that we were the first ones who started naming stations on a brand. The creation of a branded station, Mumbai Metro One started it, and thereafter many metros sort of took on with it. They found it quite profitable as well as interesting. The whole station gets wrapped up in a brand, and you have jingles in that train. For instance, we have a brand when the train approaches that station, that brand station, we play that the jingle is played. So the association with the brand is very strong. Like the metro pillars is one. The outside of the station, which currently we are not doing, is another property that we are trying to build up. The bridges at the intersection of the roads is another property. So these specific out of home areas where we are thinking of creating very specific and very intelligent and digitally loaded advertising products should pay us well too.
Further down, do you see scope of wider engagement with the OH industry as Mumbai Metro One expands its rail network? So, currently you have one line. So, are there any further more expansion plans, and how would you like to do a wider engagement with the OH company?
Mumbai is one city which is really at the cusp of a huge network coming up in the next 5 6 years. We are about going to be about 100 kilometers of metro network in the next 2 to 3 years, and I see vast opportunities in it, vast possibilities of out of home media's engaging. These interchange stations, for instance, are one where the commuters will be in transit moving from one network to another. And possibly they will have a little more time while they take a breather, come down from one line, move into another line. So you can see the King's Cross station in London, for instance, which happens to be a great meeting place for people traveling from various lines and coming there to meet up, whether it's for business or pleasure. And that station is one of the most aesthetically designed station with the highest premium on advertising. So that's a concept of a destination that we need to create. It's a great opportunity where the digital out of home medias can do good brand activities.
Other than digital out of home format, has industry approached your corporation for permission to introduce any new innovative formats, some innovation, some activation?
Oh yes, we had this movie launches. If you remember, we were the first ones to come up with these TV serial launches where we created a whole environment in a station. Then there's some of them which are very experiential, sort of advertising onto our platforms, and some ways where engagement with the customer is increased many folds.
And are you looking at introducing any audio format? You've already mentioned that you do a lot of audio jingles for your naming stations. But other than that, are you bringing in some audio advertisement and incorporation between the stations or something like that?
Yes, we did some, the train jingles have become very, very popular. Other than that, we also were planning to bring out some products within the station in terms of we have these digital TVs and the platforms in the station, and people typically sort of take some time till the next station comes. So there's a waiting area when they're unoccupied, and that's a time and that's a space that we feel that we can use constructively in engaging our commuters through audio oblique video. That's one space that we need to really explore.
So, in the longer run, till what extent would OH advertising companies contribute to enhancing the passenger service? And to all this, other than the non-fare revenues helping to keep the tickets cost within affordable range?
See, the non-fare revenues are a very important part of your revenue box, primarily because it helps in control in ensuring that your ticket costs, your fare box range is kept within the limits that people can afford it. In cities in South Korea, in Seoul, the revenue from the non-fare box is almost as high as 35-40%. So that's very huge because they are investing into real estate. They're working in retail of large retail formats. So those are extremely future-looking and very important sources of revenue where you can keep a control on the fare products that that are there for the common people. It's important. It forms a very important part, and the entire Mumbai network is looking very eagerly to ensure that the non-fare part contributes max to the entire revenue budget, revenue share. Now, the first part of it, that what are we doing in terms of generating that or bringing that into the forefront? Yes, the most important aspect of the non-fare in terms of the commuter engagement comes through the retail, and then the advertisement. So the retail part of it is something that people while moving out to their home, to moving from the transit, things which they can easily sort of consume, or things that makes it convenient for them to carry from one place to their home or back to their work. As far as the advertisement is concerned, see, we not just through ASB. It's a the endeavor of an operator is always to make it happy. So part of this happiness is to create aesthetics around the entire journey. And when you create beautiful brands, and you have interactive media, when you have lovely advertisements, sort of looking back at the people, so to say, it makes great space for good travel.
More or less, it's done from my side. But anything which you would like to communicate to my readers in terms of how effective, or what is Mumbai One Metro looking at in terms of association with the brands who are looking at advertising and generating revenue? Anything which you would like to add from your part?
Right. This is something that we were discussing, that the transit space is a space where, which needs, particularly in India, that needs to be uplifted. We are typically used to, sort of crowded stations, crowded buses, crowded, three-wheelers. This is not how India is going to travel in the next, sort of 20 years, 10 years, or 20 years from now. And these transit spaces becomes very important. We need to enhance the quality of these transit environments so that people take on to it with a degree of smile, with a degree of happiness, and to create that, the interaction of the out of home medias with advertising agencies, with brands, and with retail has to be more sort of proactive. There's got to be greater degree of collaboration, greater degree of understanding of each other's sweet spots, so to say, and get on and enhance the quality of these stations, platforms, and transit areas.